Hi, I'm just coming out of African Museum, the virtual museum of Nigerian arts, culture, and history. I needed to take that spin because I've been enjoying my experience in the last few weeks that the experience came online. I've been talking about taking our virtual museums online, or the virtual museum that I designed and coded, taking it online to be played on VR as well as on your mobile phone and on your computer, on your smart TV. And I particularly enjoyed going through that experience while using the VR headset. It was not just immersive, it was satisfying because it's a dream that I've had for a while. You know, this feeling when you enter a space and you don't want to leave that space? I mean, in real life, not with a VR headset. And you keep asking yourself, man, why can't I stay here longer? Well, that is the feeling that I've been trying to recreate for people. We've been talking recently about African stories going down the drain, people telling our stories wrong, our historical sites going down into oblivion, dilapidating without good maintenance. And that has been the bane of the African management system for as long as I can remember. I started thinking about preserving our culture, our heritage, our history, but from the angle of an architect. You see, in architecture, we design spaces and then we try in our own way to make those spaces mean something to the end users, to those who would use the spaces. As an architect in Nigeria, it has been my dream to recreate spaces that people have emotional and sentimental attachments to, and to help them put those spaces in the virtual world where they can now come into that world and interact with that world like they were there. Okay, that's why BuildNet Virtual Experience was born. And the Virtual Museum of Nigerian Arts, Culture, and History was actually established for that fact. So you go to museums normally and you have to be sent out maybe after 4 p.m. or when it gets dark. And I asked myself how I could create an experience that people could just go in and stay for as long as they wanted, enjoying the artifacts, the artworks, the experiences. And because I do 3D as an architect, I started creating these spaces in 3D. My major issue was how I would get people to come in, and there were a few different options. But the best option I got was in Unreal Engine. I had been running away from Unreal Engine for a while, so I decided to just sit down, study it properly, understand it, because now I had a goal. I wasn't just studying Unreal Engine to know how to use it, but I was studying Unreal Engine to know how to use it for my own case and to get people in. I had to do a bit of research in order to understand that. And I also had to figure out how to make it sustainable because anything that is not sustainable would not last, or you just be stressing yourself to make sure you get results, but you can get the results that you actually need. So while regular architects were focusing mainly on design, brick and mortar, I was focusing on design and then virtual and immersive interactions. So that's where there was a bit of a divergence between myself and regular architects in that respect. So I designed for the virtual space. I am a virtual architect. And then I have also combined this with tourism. So we can now translate our tourism into the virtual space. So for those who want stories of Africa, our African histories, our African cultures, our traditions, our arts, I create spaces that help to resurrect these experiences. So I've created the Virtual Museum of Nigerian Art, Culture, and History. You can come into that experience like you were there. You just click on a link and you get into that space and you look around and you walk around like you were there in real time, even on your phone or on your computer. So the way you play games when you are with your computer, the same way you play games and use the WASD keys and your forward and back buttons or keys and your mouse turning and all of that, you can do the same thing in this museum. It took me months to figure out the best way to make it accessible on all devices, because usually by default it usually is easier to get done for the computer only, but I had to figure out how to make it accessible on mobile phones, accessible on your TV, accessible on the VR headset, and then for you to just have a spin in it for as long as you want. Right now, that experience is free. Not just that experience, I have two other experiences. So just before Christmas, I had this idea that I could create a homecoming experience for those in the diaspora in Africa. I mean, Africans in the diaspora, I beg your pardon. And you, wherever you are in the world, you can come into that space. And what the space is about is like the home you grew up in or the home you had experiences in during Christmas. So remember you coming back home for Christmas, and it's like everyone is welcoming you back home. Hey, welcome from wherever it is you are. I know the way we are as Africans. Everyone is welcoming you. Welcome. How was your trip? And all of that. And then usually one of the first things you see in many African homes, not all, but many African homes, is when you have so many people around, most people would take off their shoes at the door so they don't dirty the inside of the house. So it's one of the first things you see as you approach the entrance to that experience, which is supposed to be like a home reenacted. And you see those shoes at the door, you see a football, uh, maybe a kid that was playing just left the ball out there, or several kids that were playing left the ball out there and went in to eat or to watch TV on Christmas Day or something. And you have this Christmas tree, and then you have this traveling box at the entrance. And there's this uncle who has come, but he probably forgot something, maybe at the airport, and he's not very happy about it. So there's that stern look on his face at the entrance. And then you pass that uncle. And of course, at the entrance, you have things like the generators that we used to have way back. We now have more sophisticated generating sets, but then it used to be Tiger. So this small, what we in Nigeria would call I better pass my neighbor. You have that generator there at the front. You have shoes that have been taken off. You have plastic chairs. You have a jerry can for petrol for the generator that has just been flung carelessly. Then you walk to the entrance. You see the uncle who is looking stern. You go by him, and then you go into the house. And the first thing that greets you is this big mama. And it's an African thing generally. You have these big mamas who um, are there to welcome you, and they welcome my son. And you see her with her wrapper. That's what we call it here. So Nigerians will call it wrapper. So she's got this cloth that she ties around her waist, and of course the top that is usually the blouse, the usual African thing. And I froze her, and I froze all the 3D characters in this environment because the idea is to freeze the memories. By the time I start animating all of them, it would become something else. So I just wanted you to go into a space where you see these frozen characters and understand, remember what it was that you used to feel way back during the Christmas reunion periods. And then you pass that auntie room, and then you go into the living room where there's usually so much noise, many aunties and uncles around, brothers, sisters, children running around, and of course the TV will be on and everyone will be screaming at the TV if you're watching football or a movie or something, or just a lot of banter. It is the African way. So the African Christmas period is usually a very loud period. It's usually not somber. It's usually not quiet. It's loud usually. And then you've got food, you've got the dining area. And of course, you're going to have these mothers who are talking to these young women and advising them, why are you not married? Why have you not got a husband? Why are you wasting time? Or what happened to your boyfriend? Or if the person is married, okay, how far? What's happening between you and your husband? And there's usually that gossip. Okay. And I created these spaces to give us those memories of Christmas. There are other spaces, but you would figure out what those spaces are and what they mean to you as a person. It might not necessarily be just for Africans. I'm very sure Christmas means so many things to many people. So even if you're not African, you can go through these spaces and just have a feel of what Christmas used to be, or the end of year, or the reunion periods used to be. That was what this experience was supposed to be. And then you go through, and there's a park, and then you now go to a bedroom where you have all these very minimalistic, retro, if you may, pieces of furniture that you grew up with, and it would bring back memories to you. That space will bring back memories to you. And of course, there's a final space there that is just a very basic space with one chair, just one single chair, showing you are alone now with your memories. What memories have you gathered as you have gone through this space? What memories are you going out with? And when you approach the exit door, as you get to that door, you are grateful for the memories that you've been able to resurrect. And as you step out, you know that you are glad that you came back home, that you went back to the past. And that exactly is what that experience was supposed to, that's what that experience is supposed to be. It's supposed to take us back in time to to remember what we were about and to remember what it was that we said we wanted to do with our lives, and to now going forward figure out how exactly you want to make those childhood dreams or those way back years dreams come true for you. So that's the African Christmas reunion experience. So whether you're Christian or Muslim or Hindu or whichever religion you practice, or if you don't have any religion, the idea is there used to be a homecoming reunion, basically, usually at the end of the year, and we're trying to help you to remember what these reunions with friends and family used to be. So we also have the Jurassic Village, the New Rock Jurassic Village. So the idea is dinosaurs were also discovered in Africa. Dinosaur fossils were discovered in Africa. So the dinosaur narrative isn't unique to just South America, or it's it also has some roots in Africa. Okay, I know that dinosaur fossils have been found in Malawi. That is confirmed. Malawi has a museum right now that has that has some of the bones, like a complete skeletal system of a dinosaur that lived millions of years ago in Malawi. So Africa also had dinosaurs. And the idea behind it was, if we're watching Jurassic Park, and that was one of the inspirations really for the Jurassic Village. We watched Jurassic Park and we used to wonder, how real are these things? What do they look like close up? These are terrifying. Would I be able to breathe if I'm so close to such a creature. But I now decided to create such an environment that would house or that would be a home for dinosaurs in Africa here. And then I created it like Disney Park. So you come into that experience, a village, a Yoruba village, mainly because, yes, I'm Yoruba and I understand Yoruba folklore, Yoruba cosmology, Yoruba myths, and I combined everything into this space such that visitors from all over the world can access it on their mobile phones or on their computers or in their VR headsets, and they can access it and move around like they're in Disney World. Okay? And this is supposed to help us as Africans to start telling our own stories our own way. We can't be allowing non-Africans to tell us our stories because we know these stories. So why can't we share these stories with the world? If you're an African in diaspora and you're finding it hard to connect to your roots, or your children are finding it quite hard to understand what being an African is, it's an opportunity for you to also get your children to get into these spaces, to enjoy what these spaces are. It's not just Disney World they can enjoy, they can come into Africa and enjoy these African experiences. So we're telling our stories our own way, we're making it accessible to you. If you can watch movies on your mobile phone, you can also walk through our museums, you can walk through our experiences, you can walk through our Jurassic villages. You can walk through our homecoming reunions on your mobile phone. You can do it on your computer. You can do it in the VR headset. All you need to do is just click the link. You will be asked to sign up so that you have your profile and then you go in. It's as simple as that. So as you keep watching this channel, we'll be bringing you more things about architecture, about VR, about tourism, about storytelling, about our culture. And we are actually working towards the intersection of all these niches and bringing them together so that we have something we can be proud of. We're looking for partners, those who want to partner, because streaming to millions of people at the same time is not just financially expensive, it's also infrastructurally expensive. In fact, prohibitively expensive. You have no idea how much it is to stream these things. But if you want to support Africa, if you want to support African stories, if you want to support African heritage, African cultures and traditions, then we invite you to also partner with this initiative. The link to the experiences will all be in the description below. Let us know what you think. Let us know how we can make it better. But these are early days, so we're just starting. And we are looking for Africans, Africans in diaspora. We're looking for lovers of African culture and heritage to be a part of this initiative so that we can now start telling our own stories and we can keep our heritage sites for forever. We want Africans to own this initiative. My name is Jibala Oladiran. I'm an architect. I design spaces for the virtual environment so that you can access those spaces wherever you are. I want to make sure that I bring tourism to everyone in the world through virtual reality spaces on your mobile phone, on your computer, on your VR headset, and on your smart TVs. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, please kindly click that subscribe button. It's at the bottom of the video. Click that subscribe button. Give us a like. Please share this to as many platforms or individuals as you can. And let us know what you think about this in the comments section. I want to thank you for being patient enough to watch this video. And I want you to know that we'll continue to bring more quality videos like this for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.